Hi, we're now live. Now it's going to be a little bit messy at the beginning as I bring in welcome LinkedIn, by the way, as I bring in Facebook. Let me just see if I can bring them in now. So bear with me a moment and then we'll get started. First time I've used Facebook Live, so this should be terribly exciting. All right, let's see. Yep, as I say, hello, Cosmic Health Essence. Hello, if you can hear me. Hello, Facebook. Can you see me on Facebook? Kaz, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see me on Facebook, please? Right, never mind. Whoever we're live with, I think we're live on LinkedIn right now. I'll share to my other feeds afterwards. Forgive me, technology is not my friend today, but we'll get better as we go on. I'm going to do one of these lives, absolute lives, without a special guest for the first Friday in every month. So for the first Friday in every month, you will get a bit more of me and a bit more of my type 2 diabetes program, because I'm aiming to every week that I do this, I'm aiming to share a little bit of value from my type 2 diabetes program, so that whatever your situation as regards type 2 diabetes, there's something of value to share to you, because I have an overall purpose, which is to rid the world of type 2 diabetes. And it's a big ask. It's not going to happen overnight. So it's really, at this stage, it's about awareness. It's about communication. And it's about making sure that those people who are ready, and perhaps that's you, are ready to reverse that diabetes, understand that it can be reversed, and that this is not something that I've done myself and that nobody else can do. It's something that you can do too. So we'll go into it right now. So let me just first introduce my co-host here, the Diabetes Destroyer. Sorry, I'm putting it the wrong way here. Diabetes Destroyer, DD for short. And I'll be referring to him during the screen. He's helped me put together the slides, and he's my alter ego, if you like. I think as we go on, you find that him and me are looking fairly much like each other. So let me say hi. My name's Stephen Leggett, the Diabetes Destroyer, and I'm on here live to tell you a little bit about my type 2 diabetes journey, how I reversed my type 2 diabetes, and how I can help you to release your type 2 diabetes too. So without further ado, let me move on to the next slide. As you can see, I've got a short summary here. It's from my brochure, and I've had it for type 2 diabetes since 2000. I was pre-diabetic in 99 and moved at record speed from being pre-diabetic to being a type 2 diabetic. And I moved consciously at speed because I was a bit foolish in my early 30s. And I was thinking to myself, all people do, when people are type 2 diabetic or even pre-diabetic, they tend to get ill more often. They tend to have underlying conditions which require medication. And of course, medicines, prescriptions cost a little bit of money. So anyway, I thought to myself, oh goodness me, if I've got this type 2 diabetes thing, then or pre-diabetes, then perhaps I need to get to type 2 diabetes quickly, because I knew then that those with type 2 diabetes, like my mum had, they got pre-prescriptions. So erroneously, I went down the path to type 2 diabetes. So moving on to the next slide, I want to basically, I want to, for those of you who can't be with me for the full hour, I want to give the richest resource I have to you so that you can plow my content and really get some value straight away. Actionable intelligence, as I call it, AI. It's a buzz term right now, isn't it? AI, but AI for me means actionable intelligence. So I've got my Facebook business page up on screen now, and basically go along there and have a look. There's loads of content there. Not only the shows that I do and my show Finding My Purpose. If you're interested in looking at that show, probably the best thing to do is have a look on my YouTube channel, which you can find quite easily at T2D reversal on YouTube, and I'll put all this on the notes. And of course, if you're already watching this on YouTube, then you already know where that is. So if you're looking to access the show, or if you're even wondering why today there isn't a show and there's just me, then don't worry, the normal special guest will be with you next week, but for this week it's me. So the next thing Dee Dee asked me to do was basically tell me the story, tell him the story of my type 2 diabetes. But before that, and for the purpose of those people who perhaps can't stay for the extent of this call, or have heard my story before, and don't want to go through this before they get to the secret source, then you could well have made a decision already that you want to reverse your type 2 diabetes. You've seen me online, you've seen my content, and thought, Stephen Leggett, he's the man for me. I can work with Stephen. And if that's the case, fantastic. I look forward to meeting you face to face. And, if you scan that QR code, or indeed I've got the full link reference below, then you can either contact me via scan that QR code and get through to me. You can book an appointment with me, and then we can have a chat, because even before I let anyone onto my programs, I like to have a conversation beforehand to make absolutely sure that the program you're wanting to sign up for is the right one for you. So it's a free, no obligation call. I'll put that code up a number of times during this presentation, so don't worry if you haven't got it yet. You can pick it up later. So back to Dee Dee's question now. So what's your type 2 diabetes story? Dee Dee said to me. Well, I'm going to take you back to let's rock over the 1999 to 2000 pre-diabetes segment and go straight into type 2 diabetes. So that was the millennium saw me as a type 2 diabetic, and I remember the first visit I had to the hospital, to the diabetic clinic, and I'm sitting there right now, and the doctor's in front of me, and he said, "Do you know why you're here, Mr. Leggett?" I'm a bit jovial, I'm a bit flippant, so I said, "Well, you know, I was just passing, I thought I'd pop in and see you." And he looked at me with a face of consternation, and I smiled, and I said, "Yes, because I've got type 2 diabetes." "Yes, Mr. Leggett, you're right, you have got type 2 diabetes. And type 2 diabetes is a chronic condition. But don't you worry, because we have lots of treatment protocols for you." And type 2 diabetes as a chronic condition is a slippery slope, he said to me. It's a slippery slope, but don't worry. We've got treatment protocols that we can run through with you and will slow down your slide so that you're not in too much discomfort and pain. And we'll start you off with a medication called metformin. So I left that first meeting with my diabetic consultant with a prescription for metformin, and I started taking that straight away. I was really, really pleased in a way to have a diagnosis, because I'd gone to my GPs, I'd gone with a sense of tiredness, gone with a effectively male thrush that had been the first outward sign that something wasn't quite right. And I knew what it was. I had a label for it. Have you ever been in a position like that, where you've got something wrong with you and you want to know what it is? And it's very comforting to have a label, to know that there are treatment protocols. There's a pill you can take. Now that's exactly how I was feeling at that stage. So I gladly took that metformin from the consultant, and I started taking it from that day. And it's a big pill. And this pill had side effects. For me, it made me very, very constipated. I know when my mum took it, it had the opposite reaction and gave her a runny tummy. Now, if you're a type 2 diabetic and you're on metformin, I wonder what impact it might be having on you. Perhaps you want to tell me in the comments, but perhaps not. But whatever that is, I went back to my consultant and I said, "I'm sorry that I can't tolerate this metformin. I'd like to try a different medication." And tolerate is the language that the medics use here. It's, "Oh, Mr. Leggett, nice to see you again. And how are you tolerating your treatment protocols?" And forgive me for saying this, but life isn't for tolerating. Life is for living. And I reminded myself a few times during this 22 years of wearing type 2 diabetes. But this was my first time when I basically rejected metformin, and I said to the doctor, it's not tolerable. Can I please try something else? And I did, and he gave me something else, and that had another side effect. And then he gave me something else, and that had a different side effect. And effectively, I was going back every 6 months and trying a new class of drugs that I would hope I could tolerate a little better. But none of them were pleasant. None of them were without side effects. And I must have cycled through every class of type 2 diabetes drug on the market. By the way, we will be doing the Q&A of the last 15 minutes of this. So please, if you've got any questions, keep hold of them till then or pop them in the chat. And I'm hoping that I can pick them up before then. So there was me having cycled through all these medications and really not feeling well on any of them. So I went back to the doctors in 2015 and I said, listen, I've tried all these medications. None of them fit either my lifestyle needs or they all make my tummy, my tummy make it difficult to for bowel movements and things like that. And, you know, I'd been in hospital 2 or 3 times with that particular problem. So I said to the doctor, and I can't believe this when I say it now, but I said to the doctor, I think I'm going to try insulin, please. And again, like the foolhardy thinking when I was pre-diabetic, there was me thinking to myself, oh, well, insulin, that's a natural substance. That should be something that my body could tolerate. And I did for a while. But giving insulin to somebody, to a type 2 diabetic who is effectively insulin intolerant, which means that, you know, you can add more and more insulin, but it's having less and less impact, is really counterintuitive. And not only that, but insulin is a fat producing hormone, because effectively that excess insulin needs to be mopped up somehow within the body. And all these triglycerides are formed and stored away as fat. And while you're a type 2 diabetic, effectively you have 2 fat stores in general, which is a subcutaneous fat level. That subcutaneous means under the skin. And when that's full, then it becomes a visceral fat. And it's this visceral fat which is so dangerous. And visceral means around the organs of the body, in particular around the pancreas and the liver. And as you develop this visceral fat around your tummy area, then it interrupts the signaling that would normally happen between your pancreas and your liver to say, hey, we've got enough insulin right now, stop, please. And that signaling is interrupted. That communication doesn't happen. And so this twin cycle, as Professor Taylor coined it back in 2014, this twin cycle happens, and effectively your body is producing more and more glucose. The insulin can't take that glucose to the muscles, and triglycerides are formed, fat is formed, and the fat can't be stored anywhere other than around the viscera, around those very organs that you're trying to protect. And so the type 2 diabetes gets worse and worse. And while I was on insulin, I became the heaviest I have in my life. At the worst point, I was about 107 kilos, which is about 17 stone. And I'm a man of 5'7". So to carry 17 stone around with me is obviously putting pressure on my heart and putting pressure on all the joints in my body and really making it quite hard for me. But that wasn't the worst thing, because I had lots of anxiety when I was on insulin. Anxiety about, I'm going away on the holiday, I forget my insulin, I've got to rush around. I remember I went to Spain with my family and I had to find a pharmacist and they had to issue me more insulin, and you know, it was a real worry point. But even getting on that plane for other holidays, it's like, have I packed my medication? Have I got it with me just in case my bag's lost? I'm going out I used to go out for a lot of business meals, and have I got my insulin with me? How much do I take for this Greek meal? Because I don't normally eat Greek, and you know, what should I eat from the menu? And you have to pair your basically your carbohydrate intake with your insulin intake, and it's not easy. I got it wrong to the extent that I was injecting 2 forms of insulin, a long-lasting one which I took at night, and a short-acting one I took with every meal. So that's 4 times a day. I picked up the wrong insulin pen 3 times on 3 separate occasions. So the effect of that was I was injecting my body with about 6 times as much insulin as I would normally have needed. I ended up in hospital, and this was a particularly worrying time for my wife, for my son, and for me too. So with all this anxiety, with this hospitalizations, and just as importantly, with the fact that I was losing money, really, I should have realized that things needed to change at the very beginning. But when you're in this state, you don't naturally correlate what's going on with my business. The fact that I lost, well, during that period between 2015 and 2022, when I was on insulin, I reckon I lost about £250,000 in revenue, because I was falling out with customers, because my clients who expected a service from me weren't getting the service that they requested, because I was going to my client and constantly after approbation, after them to say, is this okay? You know, are you okay if I move on to the next step now? And I was acting in a way that was really not what my clients were expecting or indeed paying for. And all this over the course of that 7 years amounted to that loss of in excess of £250,000. So I'm going to take you forward now to 2022. And in 2022, somebody, not a blood relative, not a real member of the family, but somebody we knew affectionately as Uncle John, in November 2022, he lost his leg to uncontrolled diabetes. But that wasn't the real trigger event for change. What happened a month later, over Christmas, was the real catalyst event. because we got full bellies. We were having those typical kind of post-Christmas meal chats, myself and my son Luke, who was 7 at the time. And Luke turned and said to me, he said, "Dad, Uncle John lost his leg to type 2 diabetes. You've got type 2 diabetes. When are you having yours removed?" And I have to be honest with you, that was a real low point for me. Suddenly, you know, like those movie shots where the back wall comes forward and you feel like you're sandwiched into the present. That was what happened to me. And it caused a great amount of retrospection and sadness, as I thought to myself, well, my son's only 7. I'm a real believer in legacy, in creating a legacy that, leaves something better for our children. And for my child, for Luke, I wanted the best. I wanted to see him thrive. And not only that, I wanted to see his children thrive. And I worked out, because I had my son quite late, I was 48 when Luke was born. I worked out conservatively that really to see my son and his child thrive and grow up a little, I really had to live to about 118. Oh, seriously, that's what I want to live to, 118. But there was one thing that was absolute in all that. And that was that type 2 diabetics don't live that long. Type 2 diabetics die on average 5 years younger than non-type 2 diabetics. In fact, in the States, I learned out recently that type 2 diabetics live 10 years less than non-type 2 diabetics in the States. So I was shocked. I realized that the first thing that had to go was my type 2 diabetes. And the first thing I did was I started studying. When I've had any issues in my life, the first thing I want to do is acquire knowledge. So that was the first thing I did. I read some marvelous books by physicians like Jason Fung in the States, and the real life changer one from Professor Ron Taylor, whose team in Newcastle discovered in 2014 what the root cause of type 2 diabetes was. This twin cycle hypothesis I've talked about before, about how the insulin ends up creating fat in the body and causes this miscommunication between, or this inability to communicate properly from the pancreas to the liver. And with all this knowledge, I realized that not only was it possible to reverse type 2 diabetes, but that I formed a plan. I was a project manager. I was very good at plans. I formed a plan of how I was going to do it. Now, over the course of the previous 22 years, I'd managed to reverse my type 2 diabetes to become a non-diabetic for periods of time when I went on special diet. I don't know if you remember the Atkins diet. Back in 2009, I lived off Atkins bars for, I think, about 4 months and dropped about 10 kilos, and my type 2 diabetes disappeared. And then I remember when I was living in the Isle of Man between 2012 and 2014, I had a very active lifestyle. It's wonderful outdoor activities and stuff there. And as a result, again, I managed to lose my type 2 diabetes for a couple of years. So I knew implicitly it was possible. But with the extra research I was doing, I was really, really empowered. I felt really, really, really anxious to get going on this journey. And that's exactly what I did. And this all started, as I say, in 2022. And I had some success. I was injecting insulin, and within 1 week of changing my lifestyle, I no longer needed insulin. After 10 weeks, I'd lost 10 kilograms. And after 16 weeks, I'd lost 16 kilograms and no longer required any medication. No tablets, no non-insulin injections. Everything was gone. And I still had type 2 diabetes, but I'd reversed it to the point where I was only using diet. Diet was my only control mechanism. And of course, the wonderful thing about all that is that there's no side effects on your diet. Of course, if you eat something you're intolerant with, you'll get a side effect, but that's fully under my control. It's not related to what pills I'm consuming. Because during that 20 years, I'd had some real damage to my microbiome. And I really wanted to recover that so that not only did I no longer need type 2 diabetes medication, but that I could get longer term adherence, longer term, I could be off this medication. So it's at that point I needed to find the secret sauce. And remember, this title of this live is Type 2 Diabetes Reversal, the Secret Sauce. And I will get to the secret sauce very soon. So at the end of this segment, I want to say my type 2 diabetes journey lasted 22 years. But as a result of my pain and my financial loss, I have developed some programs, some type 2 diabetes reversal programs, so that you don't have to go through the same physical pain, suffering, and financial loss that I did. So, is this program for you? Well, these are, have a look at some of these. If this slide describes you right now, then you could be in the perfect position to reverse your type 2 diabetes too. How many of these conditions can you say yes to? If you can say yes to more than 2, then I've probably got the perfect program for you. Right, I realise I've gone through and it's, I think we're 40 minutes or so in now. You know, some of you might have dinners to that are on the table, etc. Some of you might well have got to the point where you've realised, yeah, well, I like what this guy's saying, and I really would like to get rid of my type 2 diabetes. And if that's the case, that's an amazing decision. that you've reached. And on the screen right now is, again, the QR code and the calendar link so that you can get in contact with me. We can have a discovery call, no obligation at this stage, and find out which program is right for you. I'm going to be diving into the programs right now and what the benefits of each of them are. But as I say, if you made that decision right now that type 2 diabetes reversal is the right thing for your own family's legacy, then please scan the QR code. My diary's waiting to speak to you and to get you on the right journey yourself. So get in contact, please. Right, I'm gonna move on now. And what I want to do is talk about the programs that I have and basically which one is going to serve you best. So I've got 3 core programs here. I've got the first one's called Foundation. The second one is Future. And the third is Fast Track. And this is really when I start talking about the secret sauce. So well done for making it to this stage, because the secret sauce is about to be revealed to you. First of all, I have my Foundation program, and the Foundation program is the basic beginnings of all my programs. And it really starts getting to the heart of you and your type 2 diabetes, and effectively how you got here, how you got to this type 2 diabetes, because it's important to understand the journey, and it can be a journey of between 10 to 15 years while this process is going on before you get to the point where you end up with a condition of type 2 diabetes. So we need to understand things like the habits that have been formed and the background position. Because, for example, clients come to me and they're worried that they're going to get type 2 diabetes because mum's got it, or a brother's got it, or a sister's got it. Because if that's the situation, then statistically you're 2 to 3 times more likely to get type 2 diabetes yourself. But this is by no means is this automatic, and it is preventable. So if that's the condition you're in and you're worried about that risk, or indeed you're pre-diabetic, then this Foundation program could well be the right thing for you. And then beyond that, we have what I call my Future program. So as you can see, there's a lot more to the Future program, but this is where the secret sauce comes in. So while this Foundation program is very useful for understanding how type 2 diabetes might be developing and what you can do to stop it getting any further, if it has, and you are at that position where you are type 2 diabetic, you're on pills, or even if you're insulin dependent, then this Future program is probably the program for you. Let me talk about the secret sauce right now. As you can see from the diagram, the secret sauce is about the coaching sessions, about the emotion code sessions, and about the support through the WhatsApp group, the VIP WhatsApp group. And I'll go through those in more detail now. So when I say coaching, what kind of coaching is it? Well, coaching, there's a continuum here between, on one side we've got therapy, and then you've got coaching, and then you've got mentoring. And when I talk about coaching, I'm talking about the largest part of it is between coaching and mentoring. I've gone through this. I know the stages as you go through this program that you will be going through. And I've also faced some of the barriers that you yourself will face. Like barriers like I remember when I went through this program, my mum, the relationship with my mother is a very gustatory one. We used to share meals together, and that's what effectively she saw as used to attract me to the house, is the fact that I'm going to go and have a meal with them. And that stopped when I got into my weight loss stage of type 2 diabetes reversal. And my mum was a bit upset by that, because she thought, oh my goodness, if he's on this diet, he's not going to be coming over for a meal. We're not going to get the engagement with him we used to have before. And we love him. We want to see him. And that was something I needed to deal with. And effectively, I said to Mum, Mum, listen, I come round because I love you and Dad, and I love spending time with you. And yes, it's lovely, the food that you cook, but I'll still be coming round. It's just I won't be eating. And that doesn't mean you don't need to eat either. I can come round at the same time, and we can have the same lovely time together that we've had before. But I'm on this diet now, and I have a son who's 7 years of age, and I need to make sure that I reach a health status that will allow me to see him well into the stages where he too gets married. So that was just one particular resistance point. There will be quite a few that you face on this marvelous journey that you're undertaking. And I'm in your corner. I'm with you all the way to help with these resistance points and make sure you achieve what you really want, that health outcome that's going to see you enjoy many, many more years with the people you love, doing the things you love. So that's one part of the secret sauce. And the secret sauce, it tastes so good in combination. So let's see what else there is there. So these emotion code sessions, what are those then? Well, my experience has shown me that there's a lot of emotional underpinning with type 2 diabetes. With some clients I've seen, there is actually a trauma event that sits at the source of their type 2 diabetes. And this unresolved trauma has created a blockage in the body's natural energy systems. And this blockage has moved, and it could be anywhere in the body. It could be showing up as perhaps a bad back or a bad shoulder, or I've seen so many of them, appear everywhere. And these emotion code sessions are about looking at the underpinning emotions that we all have trapped within us, and that causes a variety of conditions and complaints, and may well sit as one of the root causes of your type 2 diabetes. So in reversing this, it's not just a reversal process, it's a healing process. And this, if I had to name the number one ingredient of the secret sauce, it's this. It's the emotions and dealing with the emotions as the root cause of your condition. So we have 10 of these sessions, and you'll have a number of these trapped emotions. So there'll be plenty of material to work through. And, you know, in doing that, you'll find that it will make incremental difference to, for example, your blood sugar readings. And it's great to record those and feed that back so you can see what release you're getting from each intervention. And then support. Support is really important. And these programs are really so important to me that I give a lot of time to my VIP WhatsApp group. I won't tell you you'll have me 24/7 because I do sleep, and sleep is just so fundamental to type 2 diabetics that they got good sleep patterns. But this VIP WhatsApp group is tremendously important to me, and I want you to feel supported so that if you're struggling with a particular barrier at any time, then reach out. There may well be other members who've gone through this and they can provide you some support. But my support is there for you as well, because we're going through this together. That's what this program is all about. It's a bespoke offering for you, with me, to reverse the type 2 diabetic condition that you have. And you can see there are lots of there were checklists and success trackers and things that will not only keep you on track, but will give you a really good record, so that when people are saying to you, my goodness, what's changed, Bob? You look so different and you've got so much more energy. What's happened to you? Then you can tell them at some granular detail, if they wish, about exactly what has happened to you to produce this successful outcome. So there is a fast track retreat option as well. And this is the only generational offering that I have. And I've developed this because, what do I mean by generational offering, first of all? Well, if you have type 2 diabetes, then a large part of your recovery will be dependent on the environment where you live, the people you live with. For example, are you sharing food with them? Are you sharing a meal? This becomes an opportunity for your close family members to really understand what type 2 diabetes is, and get themselves into a position where they could not only support you, but can make sure it doesn't happen to them as well. So, you know, for those customers those clients for whom legacy is really important, I do have a fast track retreat option where they can bring a couple of close family members, maybe a wife and a couple of children along, and they can learn a little bit about the diet and nutrition that is required to avoid type 2 diabetes, or indeed to turn it around. Also about the importance of exercise and sleep. And this is a very concentrated week of activity, of lifestyle change, of education, and it's really designed for those who, as I say, for whom legacy is really important, and they want to be involved in very much in an experience that will not only help them as a type 2 diabetes sufferer, but will also plant the seeds that provide the generational support and type 2 diabetes avoidance strategies that they really want for their family and for their loved ones. And I'm sorry, I did say I'd take some questions, but I will after this. If you've got any, please type them in the chat and I'll try and pick them up. If I don't pick them up during the live, then I will answer all of them afterwards. So just simply add them as a comment, whether you're watching this on YouTube, on Facebook, or indeed on LinkedIn, and I will pick them up afterwards. Now, this 22 years of experience and the value of the extra longevity that you will achieve for yourself, of course it comes at a price. And I'm not going to hide that price from you. On the next slide, I think I've got it all laid out quite clearly. There we go. So the basic offering, the foundation offering, is a great way to dip your toe in the water. There is no interval payments for that. It's a one-off payment. But when you consider that potentially this will stop you getting type 2 diabetes in the first place, I think you might well agree that it's a worthwhile investment in your health. And then we get to the future program, and you might be thinking to myself, oh wow, that's quite expensive. And you balance off the 5 or 6 or so years of life you'll have with your loved ones versus less than £1,000 a year. It really isn't that expensive. And I'd like to point to the value of that gift you're giving to yourself, of that investment in your self-care. It's about returning to you the quality of life that's been robbed by type 2 diabetes. And with that extra energy, and this is why I target this at entrepreneurs, with that extra energy, you can inject into your business and recover the passion that lay behind the purpose the very reason why you started that business. And as we work together, you may very well want to use one or more of that coaching sessions to talk to me about not just your health recovery, but your business's health recovery too. Because I'm a qualified business coach and I can really support you in that. And as I said earlier on with my story, there's a very close correlation between your personal health and your business wealth. And I want that to be heading in a very positive direction for you. So I think it's a really, really effective and productive investment in you. And, you know, I will touch on that fast track because particularly for those who perhaps are insulin dependent diabetics, doing the right thing to remove that insulin dependency so that you're not piling on extra visceral fat, so that you're not having to go through the anxiety that goes along with injecting insulin. It might well be worth considering your legacy. But that's a rare situation. I know that. That's a very bespoke retreat that you can talk to me about setting up if that's your thing. But the main thing I want to talk about is you and reversing your type 2 diabetes, because that's the thing that will give you the energy, the drive, the ability to continue to earn for your family and provide a livelihood for you and a life for you that's worth living, because it's about quality of life here as well. Right, I'm coming to the end. I'm gonna pick up questions, any there are now, but my last slide is simply a communication slide. You've seen this 2 or 3 times now. I'd love to work with you. I'd love to help you on your journey towards type 2 diabetes reversal. It's a very worthwhile end game. I really can't mention that to you enough. My life after type 2 diabetes has just been so much more fulfilling. You know, I won't tell you I jump out of bed every morning and jump for joy. You know, I have worries and concerns and things that keep me awake. But when I have moments without those, I do enjoy a good night's sleep while I only wake up once. When I was at my lowest point with type 2 diabetes, I was waking up maybe 2, 3, 4 times a night. And sleep is just so restorative. So, you know, that's the first thing. And the second thing is, it's so much easier to deal with the daily challenges of life. There's no brain fog anymore. I used to really vacillate, used to really procrastinate over the smallest of decisions. And now I don't. I just make decisions in my stride and they don't concern me. They don't worry me. So if you would like that peace of mind, think about the programs, feast on the content. I've given you a link to my Facebook business page there. There is lots of content. You can see lots more of me and kind of my style and what I do. And if you think you can work with me and I might be the right person to kind of walk with you on this journey outside of away from type 2 diabetes, then get in contact and we can discuss any concerns that you have, any fears that are stopping you doing this marvelous thing. Because it's about taking action. And of course, if we don't, we all know what the consequences are. Like my Uncle John, you know, God forbid you lose a limb, heart attack, stroke, all these things are much greater risk to us with type 2 diabetes. So save those you love from that kind of heartache, that grief, that need to care for you much earlier than perhaps they would otherwise need to care for you. I mean, on a full-time basis. I've got a few clients who've had parents who have developed vascular dementia as a result of poor sugar control. And that has taken, well, one particular person I'm thinking of now, they had to basically give up their business for the full-time care of their relative. I don't think any of us want our children to have to do that. There's a different way of doing things. Listen, you know, please, whether you contact me or not, then please comment on the bottom of this. I hope it's been useful for you. As I say, the first week in every month is going to be something of value. So I will go through, next time I will go through the essence of my program, the Sugar Solution. That's S for science, U for understanding, that's you. G for growth, A for attitude, and R for results. And I'll go through each element of that next time in case you want extra reassurance before you decide this is the right program for you. Whatever you're up to, it's bank holiday weekend. I hope you have a super one. I hope you've taken great value for this. And Kaz, I don't know if you're still there, but have we got any questions on Facebook? I'm not sure if it's gone there yet, or if I'll have to restream that.
Yeah, Stephen, there's no specific questions on LinkedIn. There's just a few comments.
Okay.
Secret sauce is intriguing. Great offer. So perhaps you can have a read through those separately.
I will. So I'll read through all your comments. Thank you very much for those. I'll read through all of them following this live. And I just want to say thank you very much for your time. Have a wonderful bank holiday with your family, whatever you're doing. Do something you love with someone you love. Have a great weekend. And Kaz, thank you for supporting this presentation. And you too have a wonderful bank holiday weekend. Thanks and goodbye, everyone. Bye.